I'm going to do this video. I'm showing this letter that was on top. I've had, I don't know, many of them taken during the last few years, so I don't have that many left from Jack Hartsville. Jack I'm going to show Larry Flint, who was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, when I was doing a book, MD, A License to Kill. This is April of '84, after I'd been on a campaign out at his home to replace a doctor congressman that Larry McDonald that I'd written about in the book. And I'm going to read a little bit of this, and then I'm going to answer a question to someone, or put it up here if they want to read it. I met Jack in 1980. I had, maybe I should go back here and put it up the way it happened. Jack, as far as I know, and it's true, he was either, that was his nephew or his cousin, Hank Hartsville, who was commander of a couple of the shuttles. He was, I believe Hank was from Alabama. I don't know if Jack was from Alabama or Florida, born there. Anyway, this is a letter, Jack. He saved my life, Jack did. I had, he was a reporter there, but he worked undercover as a reporter. He was out the New Mexican News in 1984, March, when I went through there. I had a Larry Flint car. I'd lost everything, had it taken over and over. And he was in Santa Fe, Jack was, working for the New Mexican News paper, and he wasn't far away from Abiquiu. It's right over the mountain there, Georgia O'Keeffe, my aunt. And of course, I was just finding out about it then. I realized Jack and my husband, John, if his name is really John Childers, that's what I've always known. I know that my husband worked for the CIA. There's no doubt about that. I didn't know that, so he was supposed to marry me, and he always knew who I am and all that. So Jack moved out to Santa Clarita, and this is Newhall. I think they are side by side the town. They use the same. I'm not wasting time, but I want to get some other things up. And I'm going to try to get to this and answer a question here. Jack's talking about really the mafia being in about the Redstone Arsenal and NASA that was created there after they kidnapped me in 1941. And he's talking about Susan Boda. She was at University of Alabama center there in Huntsville, which was a couple blocks down from me when I worked for the district attorney, and which is important in murders that happen later. Susan had her degree, so I guess you call her a professor. But anyway, I met her through Jack back in 1980. And later, after I worked for the district attorney and all that in the 80s, Fred Simpson in Huntsville, Madison County DA. This is much later, not too many years ago, about 2009 or 10, when I can't remember her name now, that she was, I believe she was with the police department. I can't remember now. I should, I'd have to Google it or something. I can't remember her name. But anyway, I got in touch with her attorney, and I'm not going to mention his name now, but when I talked to him, I got in touch with him in late 2010, I believe, 2010. And he said he had worked with me at the DA's office, and he was very nice, but nobody's going to prosecute this. She was programmed, this woman was. I believe she was in the police department then, and she walked in, or she was working at the University of Alabama. I can't the connection there, Susan Boda and all this, it gets intertwined, and it's too much to tell right now. Seriously, she was taken off of, she was supposed to be interviewed by 2020 in Florida, and when we sit there watching it, they did a half hour on Hell's Angels and took Susan off. She said she didn't know who she was testifying for, and rerun of the Hells Angels. So it's been that kind of thing. Anyway, there were this woman went in and shot. She may have. I think she was a professor out there then, and she went in and shot 4 others dead. I believe I'm correct there, 4. And they tried to say it was because she didn't get a promotion, and then they went back and something about the police department in Boston. She had worked for them, and then they were trying to say she killed her brother. So anyway, that was a mind control that fit into the patterns absolutely. Now I'm going to get back to this, and my time's going to be gone. I was going to read this because Salvazzini, he's talking about police chief in Huntsville, was brought in there in 1980. He was a retired FBI agent at that time, and I got one of his books. It was a small one and older that said if he tried to tell the things he knew, who was it that? Oh God, I can't think of his name now. Me. I think he was CIA director, though. But anyway, I wish I could think of his name. Wrote a book about if he told what he knew, he'd be killed. Oh, well, let me get off of this. I'm not even going to have time to put up what I want to. Anyway, it's talking about Salvazzini was sent in there in late 83 because they almost killed me April Fool's Day of 80 in Marietta. Jack saved my life, and then Vazzini was sent in there as police chief, and Lina Dempsey, I was kidnapped and brought over here. She had killed her twins back in 1938. They were born out of wedlock. And anyway, I was kidnapped. My dad's Edward VIII. I put all this up with documents and stuff. And I can hardly finish this. They've put, I'm allergic to chemicals, and they've put tar up on the roof, and then the second floor above me, I don't know if I'm getting any of that, but they're remodeling it, and it's just about got me. So I'm going to quit. Salvazzini was sent in there to save my life, and I wish I could remember because he had Keeper of the Secrets. Okay, what was his name? He was CIA director. This guy, the Keeper of the Secrets. Well, anyway, I found out my name and who my dad is and all that, and I'm not getting through to what Jack's deceased now, so that he was 3 years older than me, and I found out that he died a couple years ago. So I'm going to turn this. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, when I was doing a book about mind control and the Tesla files, where you can create an illness or cure it. And there were a list of people that I got a hold of that some of them you can prove it. They were done in patterns. You can program a person like, and he fits into this, Robin Williams, to appear to commit suicide when it's just like next door, the young man from South Korea was a student here and at Virginia Tech next door in Blacksburg, and he was programmed to shoot the 32 people and then turn around and assassinate himself. So he's no different than the ones that got shot, if you can understand that. He shot them, but the person doing the programming and telling him to shoot them turned around and told him to shoot himself. So this is what's happened in a lot of these, where people hate them. The young man at Parkland in Florida just happened to not assassinate himself because he was programmed to do so. Now, I'm said enough about that. I wanted to get to this, and Jack was the one person in all this that was one of my very heroes. He told the truth. Uh, okay, so I want to get to this. And Larry Flint was shot, and I showed you that. I was flown out to his home during that campaign back in '83, and that Dr. Congressman Larry McDonald I'd written about in the book. And he went down and that KL shot him down, shot the plane down. The Russians did, flew into their airspace. And I'm going to say this again. Larry McDonald, the doctor I was supposed to have, I ran in that campaign when the plane went down August 31st. And I'm skipping around because I've had about a month of the tar and stuff, and it's gotten to me. Oh, so let me see if I can get it together here. It makes my immune system get so low I can't and attack itself. So let me go to. I'm going to go back to 1979. First of all, I moved from Moonraker Apartments. Now, stop. I was doing the book MD: A License to Kill. This is when Larry Flint was killed in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Someone was asking me, and I'm going to just give you this. Lawrence is used in this a lot like McDonald, Larry McDonald, Larry's nickname for Lawrence. I was taken to Lawrence County, Moulton, Alabama is in Lawrence County, Alabama, when I was kidnapped and brought there in 1941. Now then, Larry was in that family. He would have been a cousin to the real Peggy. Later, there were twins born. Twins are in all this, Rudy and Judy. So you get into things that were put together, orchestrated. I don't know who had the power, but anyway, it was. And it's my understanding, and I believe it because in essence he told me the man that come back from the war was sent back. He wasn't Larry's father. He was the twins' father, but he was British. He was sent over here to try to help me. And he died here, and as far as I know, he never got to go home. And I don't know if his people in England knew what happened to him or not, but he gave his life for his country. And he was the one decent person growing up when I was growing up. So now that I'm going to get back to, I was at Moonraker Apartments, moved from Treetop. Moonraker, and the book was entitled MD: A License to Kill. Now then, years later, it was after the book, after I lived there at Moonraker. It was owned by Penthouse and then church. Oh gosh, well let me just go on. It's a bad time this morning. Not they painted up there right after the tarring, so you can imagine. Anyway, Bond, a Bond movie with Roger Moore was made, and this is after I lived at Moonraker. Not long after then, but after then, when I'd already titled the book, and that can be proven and everything. All of this can. Anyway, I'm tired. I don't think this does me any good anyway. It's, it either is going to be that this is prosecuted. It's got to be somebody way up there do it. Anyway, the title of the book was MD: A License to Kill. So this was already sent out. And the lab, let me say this, the crime lab in Atlanta, the Georgia crime lab, a girl, I had run an ad in the paper, and I was trying to work and retype the book and send it off and all this. It was costing me money and time, and I had to go back to work. So I had this ad running in the paper, and the girl that answered it and took my manuscript, gave me her number to call in case I wanted to know how it was going. I called her, and she worked for the Georgia Crime Lab in Atlanta. And she said she was typing my manuscript at that time. So anyway, I had a letter from the FBI. So later, Moonraker turns into a movie after I lived there and I'm doing the book with Roger And it even has something about that's connected with mind control, like something. It was an outer space thing. And so 007 is associated with the Queen. And that's not Elizabeth. She's a fake, a fraud, a war criminal. She's illegal. Anyway, the next movie was Timothy Dalton, A License to Kill. This is on later. By this time, I'm just going to quit there because this is after I lived at Moonraker and I was getting the book and sending it off and trying to get it published and all this. So I moved into Laurelwood up the street and from Moonraker, and that's where I got the FBI letter from the U.S. Attorney ongoing investigation, national security involved. That's where I'm going to go ahead and say his name, and Philip, that I grew up with, as in Philip Mountbatten, who's a cousin of mine. I hate to say it. This married to Elizabeth, I hate to say it, her father stole the crown. He was a liar and a cheat and a war criminal. They all are, because she's always not, this whole bit, some of my family has tried to help me, and I know that, but they're more in the German line and out from the immediate Windsors, and I want to rephrase that because there may be some Windsors that have tried to help and are, and I certainly don't feel animosity at them. The problem is when you steal it and you go out and you use all my money and you flaunt it and the world loves you for it, there's something wrong. Now, I'm not going to get this up. It's about to go off now. So, I'm where they sent me the FBI letter, and I'm living at Laurelwood Apartments. So I'm going to turn this off now and see if I can get another one up and put the part on there about where they tried to kill me and took everything again.